I just got back from NFT NYC, and in this video, I'm gonna share with you my personal experience on the event itself, some of the after parties that I went to, and whether or not I'll be coming back next year. All right, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is NFT NYC actually worth it? And as you know, I'm based in Vietnam, so I flew all the way to New York, a 25-hour flight just to go to NFT NYC just for a few days, and I flew all the way back, right? Now, is it worth it? It's a yes and a no, and let me explain what I mean. So there are two parts of NFT NYC, right? There's NFT NYC, the actual event and conference itself, and then there's gonna be all the after parties and individual events that different projects will do themselves. Now, for me, I actually purchased the VIP ticket for NFT NYC, and I could say it was absolutely not worth it. Now, just so you understand, this is not a shade to NFT NYC. In fact, this is actually an opportunity for improvement to improve the conference. And if you want to hit me up in NFT NYC, just let me know. So I got the VIP ticket and I got the early bird, which was about, I think, $1,200, $1,300. When you're actually looking at the event itself, whether you got VIP ticket or not, a lot of what it really was, people talking on stage, which for the most part wasn't that interesting. And then there was also like different booths and things you can visit, but it kind of felt like a conference sales pitch where you go to a booth and they try to sell you on their product and services and whatever they're doing. So I actually did see a talk with my friend Michael. So he talked about his project and what he was doing, which is actually pretty cool because obviously you guys support my friend, right? But besides that, I saw a couple other talks, and actually it wasn't that interesting because most people were just kind of pitching their products and services or their NFT project, and there wasn't really any real insight. And because each talk was so quick, there was no chance for people to go in depth. Also, people who were doing the interviews and stuff like that, a lot of times they weren't the best interviewers, so you weren't getting the best information. And when I asked all my friends about what they thought about NFT NYC, everybody across the board said it wasn't worth the money to pay $1,000 or $700, whatever it was, to actually go to the conference itself. So I actually only spent maybe an hour and a half at the conferences, and then after that I just never went back again. And the same for the most people, right? And also, there was like, for the VIP, there was like a dinner and things like that. I didn't actually go because I didn't feel like it was worth it, and my friends that did go, they didn't find it worth it as well. So I actually saved my time by not going, right? That side of it, probably not worth it. And the next time I do go to NFT NYC, I'm not going to purchase a ticket to go to the actual event, but I'm going to go because everybody else is there. There's so many different after parties and different events, which I recommend because those are actually really good. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So if you didn't know, for NFT NYC, because there's a whole group of people who are there for this event, what's going to happen is that a lot of different projects are going to put on different experiences, activations, parties, after parties, you name it. Every project kind of does have something there. And so what I want to do is share my personal experiences on the projects, parties, and events that I personally went to. And of course, there's so much things going on. Obviously, I can't go to every single one, but I'll share the ones that I did go to and kind of give you some insights on that. So one of the fun things about NFT NYC is that you get to have like different individual meetups, right? And the first one I'm going to talk about is actually going to be the Parallax meetup. I let everyone know that I was coming to NFT NYC, and I put together a little meetup where, all the members, and even if you're not a member, you can probably show up as well. And so we had about 17 people meet up at Blue Bottle Coffee. This wasn't like a crazy party or anything. It was like during the morning, but it was a nice little meetup to understand or get a feel of who was in the community, chat with each other and get to know each other, and for people to also meet me and ask questions about what I'm doing with the project and things like that. So that meetup was actually pretty good because you talk to people on Discord and stuff like that, and you get to know them as a person, but it's really different when you see them face to face. It's just so much more powerful. So obviously, this was a little small meetup, but it was actually a pretty good turnout, and I plan to do more meetups in the future at different NFT events and probably do something more official, put a little budget behind it to make it more interesting for you guys. But I would say overall, meeting the community members, I'm pretty happy with the diversity in our community. We had one female that actually went to the event, people with different races, different backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. And then what I also appreciated was that, nobody was talking about the floor price and like, Patrick, how do we 10x this thing, right? It's more like people are there because they want to connect with like-minded people, have interesting conversations, which was my whole intention of creating this NFT project in the first place. Mission accomplished. And, we really have a strong community, a strong seed, and there's so much more to go in the future. Now, if you're interested in joining the community, you can check us out on Discord, see what people are talking about. A lot of the channels are free right now, so you can check it out. And if you want to purchase an NFT, just check it out on OpenSea because we are going to be revealing in about 3 weeks from now. Now, the next project we're going to talk about is going to be Azuki. Now, here's the thing. Total disclaimer, I do not own any Azukis. I do not own any beans right now. So a lot of people think that I have Azuki and things like that because I always talk about them, but that's not true. I'm not trying to pump my bags because I don't have one. I'm a part of, different alpha groups where there's a bunch of Azukis in there. And then even though most of the people I've never met in person, they're like, hey, Patrick, you should come to this dinner or this event and things like that. There's going to be a bunch of Azuki people. And again, I don't have an Azuki, but still, they're very welcoming and allow me to come, right? So I'm hanging out with these Azuki people. We have dinner. We have this little rooftop party, as you can see over here. The crowd is pretty diverse, different backgrounds, which is pretty interesting. So it's really good to get a feel of like who actually is the Azuki holders, right? And then from there, you know, there was like this Azuki party, which I wasn't able to get a ticket for. And then at this rooftop party, somebody actually got me a wristband to go to one of the Azuki parties. And I gotta say, the party was great. You can tell that they spent like millions of dollars to put this thing together. It's kind of like they rented like this warehouse event space, and then they just like turned like raw, you know, concrete room into like this Disneyland type experience, right? So they created like the alley, right? Kind of like a Chinatown kind of vibe. When you're walking on the ground, the floor was like this brick material, and they actually put like dirt on the floor to make it feel like you're in like a Chinatown kind of vibe. They built all these like custom storefronts. They had a food marketplace kind of thing. They had someone doing tattoos. They had these little arcade crane games. So a lot of attention to detail to really make this experience come to life. On top of that, they hired a bunch of actors placed around the entire venue. And it's a very large venue where there's like this mystery puzzle going on where people are like, hello, sir, do you know how to play Mahjong? And then I was like, no, I don't know how to play. But it was like this whole riddle where if you're able to solve the riddles, you're able to get into secret rooms, secret prizes, and things like that. Later on, around like, I think it was 11 or 12 p.m., they opened this like giant room where they actually had a concert. And then the night I went, there was actually Zoo playing. And then the night after that, it was Lupe Fiasco, which I wasn't there for Lupe Fiasco, but it was actually pretty cool. And then actually my favorite part personally was they actually had this all-female group where they were playing these drums, like these traditional like Japanese drums, and it actually was pretty sick. So overall, pretty great experience, especially if you're a Azuki holder, because you got to go to all these things for free. Now, the main takeaway that I got from going to this event, meeting all the people in the Azuki community, were a couple things, right? The first thing is that I've realized that NFTs itself, let's say something like Azuki or Bored Ape or Doodles, they're truly a luxury product, right? These things are not necessarily necessities like food and water and shelter, but these are things where people who are already like somewhat successful, they have some disposable income, they can purchase a luxury product to be part of a certain group, a certain club, where price in itself is almost like a gate in a sense. But even after price, there's like a certain culture, certain vibe that you have to like resonate with to actually want to be part of this community, right? And so for Azuki, it is truly a luxury product where a lot of people who have an Azuki are already adults, right? They already make like some income. They have a lot of disposable income, and they want to have fun in their lives as adults. Because I think like when people live their normal lives, and obviously if you are someone who is like an entrepreneur or a really hard worker, right? A lot of times your life is consumed by work. And then by having an Azuki or being part of a certain club, you actually get to connect with like-minded people who kind of experience similar things. That in itself is a luxury to make friends in this way. It's almost like a private membership club. That's where the value is derived from. It's who are the people in this community that you want to meet? What is their vibe? What is the things they care about? What is the culture, right? I think that's also very important in meeting like-minded people as well, because, you know, Azuki is kind of like this club in a sense. You know, they do a lot of things. They try really hard to create this experience for everyone. It is a luxury experience for sure. And they try to make it fun where they have like different riddles, different mysteries, meet and greets. Like these are all things that are entertaining for adults who have disposable income, right? But on top of that, the other thing I've learned is that, you know, for these type of NFT projects, IP plays are going to be extremely important, right? So when I look at Azuki, it's kind of like they have strong IP when it comes to the anime, the aesthetic, the vibe. They have a strong community of people who are quite like influential or successful in their career, and they can kind of push the brand forward. And then from there, pretty much any vertical that Azuki enters as a company or a project, there's already somewhat of a chance of success because you have the vibe, you have the community that supports it, right? So if Azuki did like a boba shop, people would go. If Azuki did clothing, people would buy. If Azuki did like an anime or a movie or something like that, people would watch, right? And so as long as you have a strong IP and you have like credible people that people respect supporting it, then kind of any vertical they can go into and they can probably succeed. So comparing to like the Web2 world, I would look at something like what are the top like grossing franchises of all time, right? So I look at like Pokemon, Hello Kitty, Mickey Mouse, Star Wars, right? And I kind of see Azuki potentially becoming like one of these kind of things. And that's just kind of the play, right? You know, all NFTs are essentially like luxury products, right? But over time, you know, they're going to create different sets where it's going to be more accessible to the average person who are willing to spend like maybe $100 or $50, right? And I can see that in the future. So IP plays, in my opinion, are going to be super big, not just Azuki, for anyone who is going after IP and making a brand cool, because once you have a cool brand, pretty much you can do everything. And personally for me, after going to the events, meeting all the people, people in the Azuki community, which are very nice and have been very supportive of the Parallax brand. I'm definitely going to get an Azuki, but I'm just going to wait for the right opportunity. Not financial advice, but that's just my personal take because I want to join the garden. The next project we're going to talk about is going to be Cool Cats. Cool Cats actually had an activation at NFT NYC, and what activation is pretty much like an event where people come and they learn about the brand and things like that. Now, I don't have a Cool Cat anymore, but I did sell it for a profit in the past, but I want to see what this Cool Cat thing was all about because a lot of people were talking about it on Twitter. First of all, Cool Cat did a really good job at making this event public and anybody can go. I literally had to wait like an hour or an hour and a half in line to go to this actual thing. So it wasn't that bad because like, you know, in the line, I got to meet like different people and meet some new friends. But from there, pretty much what the event was is almost like a Disneyland experience. And I'm finding that all these brands are basically creating these like experiential things when it comes to like real life events, right? So Cool Cats kind of created like a lot of mini games. There was one where, you know, you have to run around this circle, do an obstacle course, which, you know, I posted on Twitter. There are like this canon game where, you know, it's like a video game. There's like taking pictures. There's so many different things, right? And it's pretty fun. And actually, personally, as someone who doesn't have a Cool Cat, I actually respect Cool Cats a lot more because they put together such a great event. And the other interesting part that I realized about Cool Cats is I noticed on their Twitter, they don't really talk about their token anymore, the milk token. They don't talk about, you know, cool pets anymore, right? It's almost like a background thing. If you go on their Twitter, literally like there's nothing mentioning this. And I feel that they realized the whole tokenomics, the play to earn thing wasn't the route their brand should go, but they actually are taking the more IP route where it's more of a experiential brand that people can resonate with, people think it's cool, and then from there they can create different type of businesses around that brand versus just doing a play to earn game, which I'm guessing they probably feel like was a mistake going in that direction. I think I'm a little more bullish on Cool Cats than I was before, especially because they are taking that route. So the last project event that we're going to be talking about is going to be the PXN Nano Party. Now, this one was more of like a party at a club, right? So basically the team rented out a club. They had different artists perform. They had a DJ. They had Rich Brian perform as well. And this one was personally one of my favorite events of the entire week. It wasn't as experiential as, let's say, a Cool Cat or an Azuki, right? Obviously, you know, there's less of a budget for this, but I personally had a lot of fun because all the different people that I was meeting, and it was interesting because a lot of people who were there, they actually knew who I was. So I would just be like hanging around, walking around, talking to different people, and then randomly somebody would be like, Parallax? Are you Patrick from the Parallax? And then I'll be like, yeah, what's up? Probably because I did an interview with Ray for PXN before they launched, and that's probably how a lot of people know me. But I did get to meet a lot of people. I got to know the team more, like Ray, Kuro, Pants, saw Pris again. So like definitely seeing the team and getting to know them more was definitely fun for me. And also there's like a lot of different influencers there. Like, you know, I met like Bento Boy for the first time, and you know, there's a whole bunch of people like that. So this one was more like a club, or it's more like a party versus like an experiential event, but I still had a lot of fun. You know, after doing the whole Nano PXN event, here are my thoughts on the project overall, because a lot of people are asking, especially because, you know, where the price is right now. By meeting the team, like I got to know the team like pretty well over that week. I would say they're a pretty capable team. They're well funded. And so for me personally, I am bullish on the team when you're looking at the long run, right? Short term is very different because there's a lot of things that are happening right now. They're definitely capable. They have a lot of funds, and I believe they can pull it off. What's really interesting is the theme of the whole NFT NYC that I've personally been learning from is that IP is probably the most important thing for NFT projects, right? You're buying into a community, who's in the community, what culture is it? And so PXN and NanoPass definitely do have a certain culture, certain type of people that like this kind of aesthetic, which is really great. But I feel like because they took a route of being more of a technology startup, I think that confuses a lot of people, right? Because if PXN and NanoPass went for the whole IP route, similar to like a Cool Cats, Azuki, or Doodle, you know, I feel like they can do really well there. But because they're also doing technology, like a marketplace, chat app kind of thing, like all at the same time, I think people are a little confused of like what they are. And I feel like for them to be successful in the future, my personal opinion, right, again, it's the opinion, is that they need to be clear on what they offer, who are they for. And right now it's kind of like a mix of things, right? There's the IP, anime route, manga, that kind of stuff. And then there's like this whole technology side. I think if they figure out a way to bridge it together and make it all seamless, they definitely can pull something interesting off, but we'll have to see. To answer the question, will I be coming back to NFT NYC next year? Absolutely, yes. But chances are I probably will not buy an NFT NYC ticket unless they change the way they do the actual conference. If they don't and they do it the exact same way, I'm going to go to New York, but I'm just going to go to the different after parties with like Azuki, PXN, and things like that, not necessarily actually going to the conference. And so overall, that's going to be some of the highlights that I have for NFT NYC. Obviously, we can't cover every single project or every single event that I've been to. You know, there's a lot of news about Doodles and like Bored Ape and Goblins, right? I didn't go to these events, but I can definitely talk about them in future videos. And with that said, that's it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.